Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout 3, where today we're going to be taking a look at some of the two-handed blunt weapons. This one in particular has been requested a lot by one viewer wanting to see the Board of Education, which I understand. That is a fantastic name for a weapon, but rather than including just the boards on this one, I wanted to include some other weapons. So today we're going to be taking a look at the baseball bat, the pool cues, and the nail boards. Starting off, let's go with the baseball bat because this is the very first weapon that you get access to into Fallout 3 besides the BB gun. This one is the second weapon that you get access to right in Vault 101, and you get a perfectly conditioned one, which is pretty awesome. This is also better than some of the other early game weapons that you can find for melee weapons too, which is nice. Weapons that you can find within the vault like knives and like police batons, which just aren't as good as this weapon, and it is still comparable to quite a few other weapons once you get onto the Wasteland. So, let's go over the stats of the baseball bat. Baseball bat does 9 damage per hit, which is okay for the start. It's not incredible and it will fall off later, but 9 damage is fine. This has 13 damage per second. The baseball bat doesn't swing super fast. None of these weapons really swing all that quick. Most of the two-handed melee weapons in this game really don't. This one has a 1x crit modifier, which is normal, does 9 crit damage, pretty normal for most weapons. Costs 25 action points to be using in VATS, which is okay, that's actually not that bad. It's not one of the best for melee weapons, but it's decent. This one weighs 3 weight, so it's not too heavy, and this one has 889 swings in it before it breaks, which is pretty decent. That's actually pretty good item health, and it's not super difficult to be finding baseball bats. Raiders tend to carry them around, so fixing them up isn't going to be too big of a deal. You can also buy them from shops, and they're going to be pretty cheap. Most of the early game melee weapons like this are pretty affordable in really every way. For the general pros of these weapons, the one major pro that they all kind of have is that they're early game weapons. Any of these you can get without too much trouble, and even the unique versions you can run right to if you would like to. And they do give you some reach for a melee weapon, which is kind of nice. Major cons to all of these weapons, though, is that they all do fall off later. None of them are really that great compared to other melee weapons, whether they be other one-handed or two-handed melee weapons. And in Fallout 3, it doesn't really matter if a weapon is one or two-handed, since there isn't any perks that directly help one or the other. So you're probably going to ditch these later on, unless you just want to keep them around just for smacking weak enemies like rad roaches, mole rats, rad scorpions, stuff like that. In which case, then it's perfectly fine. For an overall rating for the baseball bat, this one is okay. It's going to fall off later, so I'm going to put it into C tier. I think it's perfectly fine for the start, and it tends to be the weapon that I use all throughout the vault because I don't want to be wasting my 10mm rounds. Move over to the pool cue next. And the pool cue you can find all throughout the Wasteland. It is super common. Raiders always have these things. You can also just find them laying around. Pool cue does 3 damage per hit, which is very low. That's one of the lowest amounts of damage that we've seen so far on these lists. This one does 4 damage per second. It also doesn't swing very fast, which is not good. This one has a 0 crit chance modifier, so you can't hit crits, and even if you could, this does 0 crit damage. This one costs 27 action points to be using in VATS, slightly more than the bat, but the same as all the rest of these weapons. This one only weighs 1. That is something nice. The pool cues don't weigh very much. And this one has very low item HP at 333 swings before it breaks. The pool cue, there's not really a whole lot to talk about. It's just a bad melee weapon, and you really shouldn't be using it. There's better melee weapons that you could pick up. Even just picking up like knives or switchblades or something would be better than this, since at least they attack faster. Lead pipes are pretty easy to get. Tire irons are pretty easy to get, and they're better, and those weapons aren't amazing. The pipe is decent, but the other one's not so much. So pool cue has to go down into D tier. It's just not really that great of a weapon. The unique version of the pool cue is called the Break. You can find this in Paradise Falls. You can actually just run there right at the very start. And you do have to do a quest for them or go through a speech check or have the money to get in. But once you get in there, the pool cue can just be found on the pool table outside. Once you pick this up, then you can use it. The Break is slightly better than a regular pool cue. Well, actually, it's quite a bit better than a regular pool cue. This one does 6 damage per hit, double that of a pool cue. Too bad they're still single digits, so it's still not that good. This one has 9 damage per second, still swings slow. This has a 1x crit modifier, so it can hit crits, and it can do 6 crit damage, which is a lot better than the pool cue, but again, that's not really a high standard. This one costs 27 action points, which is okay. Only weighs 1, same as the regular pool cue, and this one has double the item health at 667 hits before it breaks. The break is still not good, though. You're probably not going to go out of your way to get this because the baseball bat that you can get right at the very start of the game is better than this weapon. This is really only a collectible item to collect all of the unique weapons. This one's a pretty easy one to get. It's not too difficult to just run in and pick this up, or murder everybody and then pick this up on your way out. Whatever you'd like to do. The Break is also another D tier weapon. It's just not really that good. Now we move on to the nailboard. This is a common weapon that you'll see super mutants carrying, usually low-leveled super mutants. Higher-leveled super mutants, even brutes, generally don't carry around wooden boards. They can, but a lot of the time they'll be carrying around sledgehammers, and later on super mutants are going to be carrying around super sledges, which are a far better weapon than this weapon ever could be. So the nailboard does 8 damage per hit, also fairly low, not as low as the pool cue, not as high as the baseball bat though. 11 damage per second, this attacks at the same attack speed. This has a 0 for crit chance and for crit damage, so you can't hit crits with this one either. Cost 27 action points, the boards weigh 4 weight, so they are a little bit heavier than something like the bat, and the nailboard only has 150 item HP. That is one of the lowest amounts of item HP of any weapon. That's only 150 hits. That's not total health, which makes it so the nailboard is in a very awkward spot, and it's basically going to be really unusable for most players. There's not really a reason to be picking it up unless you're playing like a gun game version of Fallout 3, or you have a mod that randomizes your weapons as you pick them up. In which case, then maybe, but that's about the only time you're going to be using the nailboard, because again, the baseball bat is just a straight upgrade to this. It does more damage, it can hit crits, it has better action points, it has far better health than this. There's really no reason to be using the nailboard, so this one would also go down into D tier. It's pretty bad. And then we move on to the unique version of it, which is called the Board of Education, which, for a name, that is pretty top tier. Board of Education as a weapon is an awesome name. I do really appreciate that. You have to get this in a super mutant shack. Funny enough, this one is towards the north end of the map, and you can rush right to there and grab it if you would like. I don't think it's a unique weapon that would be worth rushing out of your way to get, but if you want it, you can have it. And I mean, if you just really like the name and you just want to have a meme of running around and teaching everybody with the Board of Education, sure, that would be a fun run. The Board of Education does 12 damage per hit, which is pretty good. That's actually the best amount of damage that we have so far. This does 17 damage per second, still doesn't swing super fast, same swing speed as all these weapons. Has a 1x crit modifier, so you can hit crits. Does 12 crit damage, which is still not great, but it's okay. This one costs 27 action points. This one weighs 4, but this one also suffers from low item health too for some reason, only having 250 swings in it before it breaks. That's kind of rough. Now, nailboards aren't hard to find, and you can fix this up fairly easy, and it's going to be super cheap if you need to pay for people to fix this up. But it's still not an amazing weapon. It's better than the nailboard. It is definitely better than that, and it might be better than the baseball bat, but not by a significant amount. And going out of your way to pick this up over just using a baseball bat probably won't be worth it to you unless, again, you're just doing this for fun, which is fine. The Board of Education, I'd put a tier higher, up into C tier. It's an okay melee weapon, but that's about as far as it goes. And that will conclude all of these weapons. Nothing way crazy here. The only weapon out of these that I really use is the baseball bat. Pool cues I never use. I mean, they don't even have the same niche that they do in New Vegas as they do here, because at least in New Vegas, they are really, really good for repair fodder. Not in this. You can only use them to fix up other pool cues, and that's not really going to help you out. It's not going to get you a ton of money, nor is it going to get you a good weapon. Nailboard's kind of the same problem with them. The baseball bat's really the only one that stands out here of being decent because it's such an early game weapon, and it's pretty good for just saving you ammo to start out with. Anyway, tell me your thoughts on these weapons. I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.